Hi, I'm the Asian sensation Kanji. You're listening to Queen's Court.
Hi guys, this is the Queen of Queens Visage talking, and I am so happy to introduce you to the Queen's Court.
Hello, my darlings, and welcome to this week's episode of Queen's Court, season premiere of Queen's Court. Yeah, here we are. That's what it's called, the season premiere of Queen's Court. And, you know, things are a little different. The introduction of my show is a little different. The music is still the same. The little shout outs from Kanji and Visage are the same, but the drop in that you always heard at the beginning of all of my episodes 1 through 27 is no longer there. If you aren't aware of what's been going on, Brainbuster Radio is no more. The network has been removed, so to speak, dismantled, deleted, and it is no longer. So I have a new home now on Podbean, which you can get at thequeenofne.podbean.com. Will be also on YouTube, and I am hoping to be on iTunes and Spotify within the next few days. For those of you who podcast, you know that it takes a few days to get the approvals for iTunes and Spotify, so I'm working on that. And obviously, for those who know what's been going on, it's been a little bit of a scramble. So do bear with me as Queen's Court sets up shop in her own castle, honey. In a new version of this show, but not much is changing. I'll tell you that right off the bat. I'm still going to drop every single Wednesday with my pal JPQ. The Queen and Pup connection lives on. Don't worry. I know a lot of people were DMing and messaging saying, oh my God, please don't tell me it's over. No, we are still strong. That's Bestie PQ. He and I will be together on Wednesdays, dropping our shows. His, of course, no particular angle on his own feed, which you can follow him, of course, where all podcasts are found. So that's going to be the same. Holding court is still going to be a thing. I will still hold court every single week talking about wrestling and other really different, unique, fun things, whatever they might be. Of course, my Twitter is the same at the Queen of NE, and my Instagram at xthequeenofne. So nothing has changed in that regard. Everything will be business as usual. A few different changes, though, and I will say that. My Talk It Tuesday segment is going to now be on my personal Twitch, which is the Queen of NE on Twitch. And all of my stuff, of course, you can find on my Linktree in my bio on Twitter if you need to get those links. And, of course, they're in the description of this episode. And I want to thank everybody, first and foremost, who jumped in right away when things started to fall apart this weekend with Brainbuster Radio and really gave us the support and love and advice and anything else that we needed just to say, hey, you know, you guys doing it right? What's going on? How can we help you? That was so... oh man, it filled my heart. It was so nice to see and feel that love from all of you guys. So firstly, I just want to say that, you know, a lot of things have happened, and the BBR squad, I want to shout them out specifically for navigating through this pretty much mess that occurred on Twitter and just putting out fires and doing the things that we need to do as a family. And I feel, you know, we answered a lot of the burning questions, if you will, on Josh Robinson's show. Josh, of course, from Wrestling Reverb. He put that out on his feed with myself and Mags. And I just want to echo what I said very briefly. I don't want to touch on this anymore because this issue needs to be done. But I will say that generally, other than all the love and support, I was so disappointed with everything that happened. I was so disheartened not to have a home anymore. I had to scramble and find where I'm going to put my show so I can continue to do what I love to do and continue to bring my voice to the people, to you guys, to anybody who wants to listen. So that was really disheartening and upsetting, and I'm disappointed in a lot of things, as I said on Josh's show when we were chit-chatting about this weekend. But really, a lot of this is not anybody else's business. This is an issue between two people that should have never have blown up in the way that it did. I don't approve of anything that happened on either side. But like I said, It's not my business. It's not for me to speak on, and it's not my story to tell. What is my story to tell is what's happening now for Queen's Court as we move forward. And in that vein, we're just going to move on. Babies, thank you. Thank you so much for everything you did for the past couple of days. And thank you for coming on this new journey with me on Queen's Court. Now, babies, here we are. We're putting all this shit aside, and we are moving forward with this awesome Wrestle Week. So many season premieres, so I had to name the show Season Premiere of Queen's Court to echo all of this new exciting stuff. We had a season premiere of Raw. We had GCW's Curtain Call. We have AEW Dynamite premiering today, Wednesday, when this episode is out. And we have 2 hours of NXT on USA. We also have SmackDown on Fridays. And we have Hell in a Cell. There's a lot of things going on, and I couldn't think of anybody better to come on and chat with me than my pal Josh from Wrestling Reverb and, of course, the Josh Robinson Show. Without further ado, babies, strap in as we begin to hold court with Queen. Hi, everyone. Welcome back from that quick little intro from me. And here we are on the season premiere of Queen's Court. Little cheeky name that my guest helped me come up with, just to honor all the quote-unquote season premieres this week. We had to jump on the bandwagon, honey. I mentioned, I'm not here alone. You can hear his lovely laugh. Our pal, Josh Robinson. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here, too, for my first show that is on my own Podbean. I am very happy that you're here to help me kind of get this one out of the way, if you will, and just kind of
transition
and get me back in the flow of things. And who better to do it with than the host of Wrestling Reverb every single Friday, and of course the Josh Robinson Show and all of his Twitch and YouTube stuff. Who better? No one else better. And I know he's going to say, well, you're right, but
well, you're right, but I'll even respond with my favorite. If everyone knows me, and you know what I would respond with if I had Twitter right now, it'd be that Alexa Bliss gift that says, thank you, I know.
That's right. And it's perfect. Well, Josh, there's a lot of things going on this week, wouldn't you say?
In simple layman's terms, yes.
We have a lot happening. Yesterday, it was the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. We also had GCW going on. They had a curtain call pay-per-view to say goodbye to Joey Janela and Marco Stunt also, but mostly Joey Janela. And now we're here on Tuesday, having a little chit-chat before Wednesday. And, there's just a few other things going on. We have NXT. We have NXT for 2 hours on USA tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 2nd. We have 2 hours of a brand new wrestling promotion episodic television show, AEW Dynamite on TNT. We have Fox taking SmackDown, not SmackDown Live anymore, SmackDown. That's happening on Friday. And then we have Hell in a Cell on Sunday. Josh, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts about all of this? I don't even know what to even call it. It's all of this wrestling. Let's do that. All of this wrestling.
Okay. If I was going to answer in a silly matter, it would be that I need a nice nap after all of this. But in all seriousness, it's a pretty good problem to have if we have too much wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, it's really every pro wrestling fan's dream, because you have literally something for every flavor of pro wrestling this week and the weeks to come, because it's just, there's a lot more pro wrestling on in a mainstream capacity than there really probably ever has been, or at least in my time watching wrestling. So it's a pretty good problem to have.
It definitely is a good problem to have. There are worse problems to have. And this is not one of them. This is so much choice. In your fandom, as you mentioned, there hasn't been anything like this. This is unprecedented. We didn't have this many options, so I'd say rather easily accessible. Now, for you, it's a little bit different. Australia, fortunately, I feel terrible for, because you guys don't have a lot of access to some of this stuff. But in general, I feel like the programming is more, the opportunity to catch something you may enjoy that you may never seen before is more. And the type of wrestling promotions that we have available is more. It's just a lot of more. And
Yeah,
that
it's
I
just
don't think can be bad.
more.
Yeah, it's more.
No, it's definitely not bad. And it's just like, you look at the variety. If you look at, that everyone's seen that picture that was going around that had all of the programs listed in the week that was kind of coming up. I mean, like, even if it's not, there's wrestling, and then there's wrestling. You look at Total Divas and stuff like that. Like, that's in the week. That's technically, I guess, in a sense, it's a wrestling related show. It's a show about wrestling. So I guess you could probably fit it into this group as well. But if you just look at that, you look at all of those different shows and all of the different markets that all of these different companies are taking. It's pretty cool because they're covering a lot of bases with the variety of wrestling related or wrestling shows that is on in this week. You look at the programming on the network, the programming just in general. Like, there's just a lot to watch that isn't necessarily just wrestling.
Yeah, and that for right now, at least in the US, is tonight's Tuesday night for Total Divas. And, that's been a show that in a lot of way I feel like bridges the very large gap between non-wrestling fans and wrestling fans, right?
My mum watches that. My mum watches that, and that's the only, other than me, her being around me, that's the only, she knows those people, and she goes, they're wrestlers. I know who they are. Like, that's, to me, that means that show is doing its job, really. But
sure. Well, it's got such a reach, and E is such a popular network as well. It, everybody, it has a lot of reality TV shows for those who don't know, and fashion stuff. It's very popular. So to be on that prevalent of a network, and it's reality television, but it has to do with wrestlers. Like your mom watches it. My parents watch it too. They want to know everything that's going on with the Bella twins. So, they're in it for that reason. And my dad texted me earlier and he goes, I just saw Ronda Rousey's on this season of Total Divas. What the heck? And I was like,
I mean, Ronda Rousey is a huge name. Like, everyone kind of, I don't really watch, I wasn't really ever like a UFC person. I know like who I need to know, but I knew who Ronda Rousey was. You'd be living under a rock if you didn't know who Ronda Rousey was when she was at her height of her career.
Absolutely. And now she's on Total Divas. what a weird, 2019 is weird.
You wouldn't think that at all. She's on the same network as the Kardashians.
Yeah, so weird. We're so freaking weird.
But this week in wrestling is just huge. Like, that's just kind of, it shows the reach that wrestling has. I mean, every single company that you prefer or like, or just if you want to watch it all, but it's just, there is something for legitimately everybody.
It really is. And that's exactly right. We often say like Wrestling Week was like Mania Week, right? It's the days and shows leading up to Mania, and then there's so much other programming happening. Mania weekend, we have Takeover, and then Mania itself, and the whole like access where they get to meet wrestlers and do signings, and there's programs and there's stuff going on, and there's like always some kind of show somewhere. And then, of course, every other promotion has something on to capitalize on the amount of wrestling fans that are going to flock to wherever that city is, right? So,
yeah.
But this week feels different than that, right? There's no Mania on Sunday. There's Hell in a Cell, but there's no Mania. But that doesn't mean it's any less important. I feel like this week is going to start a whole new season of wrestling. It's going to give us something different. SmackDown going to Fox is a big deal. It's going to have a new flavor and feel. Having AEW, a brand new company, starting a television show is going to be new. NXT not being on the network and having 2 hours is going to be new. We have Impact on Tuesdays starting at the end of October with their television show. I mean, there's so much to offer. And not only that, we kicked off this wrestling week with Monday Night Raw and their season premiere. And how different did that look and feel? Josh, what were your reactions when you saw that freaking set?
Okay, so first things first is that you kick things off and the opening signature of WWE had new music. Not just like the Raw logo, like the Raw, I'm talking like the signature had new music. So it's like, okay, they're really kind of going for that. We're starting, like, it felt like a bit of a reset, which is we've been waiting for a little while. I think they were just finding the right time, and it kind of makes sense to do it now. But yeah, like the Raw The Raw intro was different. We had a song by I know the why am I blanking on the band's name that sang the Raw
Skillet?
song?
Oh no.
Yeah, Skillet.
Skillet.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was Skillet.
Mhm.
So we had that, and how nice was it just to see a Raw have an opening video package, like an opening show feel. Like I love that when Raw, you'd hear. Well, me growing up used to hear Across the Nation, and it'd get you pumped, and you're like, yes, let's watch 2 hours of Raw, like let's do this. Like I love hearing that. So, and then to come in with the pyro, and then seeing the new set, and it just felt like, okay, here we go, we're on the right track with something here. And I like the set. I'm not in love with it. I think it'll take me a little bit to get used to it, but I certainly like it. I just seen it and I was like, oh, I don't know how to really feel about that, but I certainly don't dislike it. But it's going to take me a minute just to get readjusted. But it felt fresh. It felt new. I mean, we'll get into it in a minute, I'm sure. But yeah, the set alone, I don't love, but I certainly don't hate.
Yeah, it felt different from the second it began. You're totally right. Just the signature alone. I'm used to, we're used to hearing that certain song, and you're like, wait, what's this? I even asked Mr. Queen, I go, do you have it on the right channel? Like, what music is that? And then I saw the thing, and I'm like, oh, they changed everything. Okay, which is great. I've shared with you, and I've shared with my listeners, and I've shared with the listeners over at DYWTSB as well, that WWE right now for me is very frustrating, and I'm having a really hard time. But watching that last night, it felt like that reset that you were talking about. It felt like they were like, okay, I'm just going to shake it off here, little Taylor Swift, and I'm going to see what they're going to do. So I was instantly like, okay, this is new and fresh. The opener is new. The package was great, I thought. The music is dope. I heard that singer, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Skillet, who I've seen live several times. They're excellent.
Yeah, I reckon I was like, I know Skillet because they used to have songs for wrestling back in the, years ago. I remember Hero and Monster. Like, I remember hearing those songs just from, I play a lot of wrestling video games. They're in the video games and that, and I'm like, I know that band. So it was familiar but fresh. And this has actually just randomly come up to my brain. Yeah. It would have been last week sometime. I was actually watching an interview with Stephanie McMahon that she had. And you know how, like, a lot of those interviews with Stephanie McMahon go. It wasn't a WWE interview. It was on some other thing. But, she's kind of promoting the brand. But it was about the business side of things and a lot of, like, the creative side of WWE. And she was kind of going on, and they asked her, hey, what do you think about WWE and its creative drive and everything? And she said, I actually think that WWE is doing a very bad job at the moment. She said, creatively. I said, we're not giving people what they want. We're not, but not even not giving people what they want. Sometimes it's not about that. She said, it's about giving people what they need, and they weren't doing that. And I was like, Stephanie realizes that. And I know Stephanie's not like the head of the creative team, but she's obviously got some power within that company. So they realized that maybe something wasn't going completely right. Mm-hmm. The thing to me is that they're actively trying to change. And I know a lot of people can just piss on WWE a lot. It's very easy to. But you know how I am. I call out when something's not good. I'm not going to just sit here and say it's the greatest thing ever, because it certainly has not been. But the fact that Stephanie McMahon, a very high executive of that company, is admitting the fact that, hey, we need to change and we're actively trying to. I mean, at least I know you are, but at least I hope that people are open to being receptive to change.
Yeah, I am open and receptive to change. I want WWE to do well. I really do. I'm not trying to shit talk them or do anything negative. I just don't like what they're doing. It's not good programming. And I'm not saying like they have to do every little thing that I want and I want to see da-da-da. No, there's going to be things you don't like in wrestling. That's fine. That's not what I've always had a frustration with. My frustration is with the continuity, with the lackadaisical, lazy storylines that don't do anything, the dropping of storylines. That's the stuff I don't want. And if they're willing to change that, then that's cool. My issue with that is we've heard the same song and dance. We hear you, we're listening to you, you guys are going to take over, we're going to give you what you want, we're going to, whatever. And like, I get that. And I know for business, they're not always going to give us what they want because that's silly. They're going to do what they want to do. It's their company, their money. They're going to decide how it's going to roll, as they should. However, it makes me a little cautious. I'm not really jumping
I
at
agree.
the whole like, okay, well, yeah, if you say it, then it's gonna happen. I don't necessarily believe that 100%. Now, I will say that lots of things have been happening for WWE. Their numbers have been dropping. It hasn't been as good, and I think that makes them go, okay, maybe we need to make some adjustments here.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. Everything you just said, 100%. But going into Raw last night, I was genuinely quite excited to watch it because I was like, okay, if anything, we get a new look, we get a new feel, we get a new commentary team, which I thought was pretty good. I mean, there's going to be some time to adjust, but I'm a big Vic Joseph fan, so I was happy with his kind of performance, I guess you would say. But I've always been a big Vic Joseph guy. I thought he was very, very good at the commentary desk. So, if anything, I was just looking forward to going into Raw to be like, yes, all right, we got at least a new feel, new look, new sound, and whatever it may be. But I thought Raw was there was some head scratches on Raw.
There were.
But I thought majority of it was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it was definitely more of a positive than a negative step forward, though there were some things that I just shake my head at, and I'm like, nope, that's gotta go.
I know what you're alluding to, and you know what I'm alluding to.
That's right.
The ending was interesting.
Ugh. So, but anyway, back to the good part at the beginning. I loved like the set. I really liked it. It's different, but it's not a bad different. So I'm like, okay, it'll take a little adjustment, but I like you. I don't hate it. I'm here for it. I'll watch. The commentary team, I thought, did a very good job for their first time all together.
Yes.
I really like Vic Joseph as well. I actually really like Dio. I wish he wasn't as quiet. I think it's going to take some adjustment. He's very monotone. Yeah, he's monotone. I think he was a little nervous. And I mean, I would be too.
Me too. I'd be literally like crapping myself if I was, live on, in front of millions of people.
I'm hoping he gets more comfortable. But my real problem, I think, was with Jerry.
Yeah, he's very polarizing. People love him, people hate him. I'm kind of in the middle with him because I think he's necessary at the moment. Just to kind of, he's done this a lot. He can kind of guide those two fairly new people on how to call Raw. That's my opinion of why he's there. Yes, he's very annoying. There's some lines that Jerry makes that I'm like, shut your mouth. Like, just shut up. And I think he does talk a little bit too much. He talks over the top of people, and he doesn't give Dio enough chance to kind of shine. I feel like there was moments where Jerry was saying everything, and I understand probably the nerves and a 3-man booth is probably very, very difficult because there's 3 of you trying to get your point across and you got to talk in sound bites instead of talking in full sentences. So that's how I see it. I think Jerry's a necessary annoyance at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely understand the purpose, but I just felt like he spoke way too much. If Vic is supposed to be the one manning the ship, captaining the ship, if you will, he needs to be a little more quiet, just a little bit. I think it would help, and because it left Dio in like a really weird kind of spot, and he was talking over him. It was just like a little awkward.
And I was like, there was bits in when Dio was talking when I wasn't even sure it was Dio talking. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a lot of his personality behind his voice.
Right.
Like I'm sure, that's probably a lot of the normal way that he just speaks in a conversation.
Sure.
And instead of, you got to turn it up. Like, we turn it up even when we're doing podcasting. I know it's very different, but it's not like I'm talking like this, every single sentence that I say. Like,
there's ebbs and flows.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the other thing, it is their first time all together. And that's something that for me personally, if it was possible, I feel like they should have done a test run or something, like a more of a rehearsal or something. Because I guess I had read, I don't know how true this is, but I had read that Jerry had just met Dio that day. That I don't think helps. I think they needed a little bit of introduction because sometimes you meet people and it's a little awkward at first. You're not quite sure, but then once you start talking, things get a little bit better. I think that would have helped, but that's just a little small thing. I think overall, though, as you said, Raw made a positive step forward. There was a lot of things that were good, funny, and engaging, and then some other things that I was like, well, why is this happening? please stop this. Make it stop. I don't know why. Yeah. What did you think?
I completely agree with you. I think Raw made, there was the pros certainly outweighed the cons, in my opinion. I think there was enough good to go, we're on the right track, we're going somewhere, and then let's just call it out right now. The Lana Bobby Lashley, I'm just gonna call it for PG reasons, kissing was it was interesting to say the least.
Very long.
And there was a lot of leg movement and touching that I was like, where am I? Am I on some weird section of the internet? Because
it was very awkward.
it was a weird situation.
It was
just awkward weird. And Rusev was there and I was like, oh boy, this is just, there was no part of me that was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like it was like, oh no.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and it just was the Ziggler storyline from a couple years ago.
And that was a mess.
And that was a mess.
Brutal mess.
A whole mess. And they got both, but she especially got so in trouble because they went and got married during that whole thing. And it was all out in public, and they were trying to do the storyline. I remember that from Total Divas and from obviously the internet when it blew up.
TMZ covered that, and
TMZ covered it, and she got in trouble. So, and it's like, well, they got to do their real life, but, at the same time, if you're in a storyline, you got to be careful. With some stuff, it's your job,
How are they going to do it now? Like, they're literally married. I mean, I guess we all know this time, like, it's not like it's going to be, like, a big scandal that they're together, you know what I mean? But Lashley's a weird person to do this with, Like,
so weird.
He's the kind of middleman here, and it's like, Lashley? Okay,
I don't get it.
I'm not a Lashley fan, so that probably doesn't help. I find Bobby Lashley as boring as a box of pencils. Like he's just
no personality.
He's just bland and whatever. Like the only way that Lashley works for me if he's just a dominating ass kicker. That's the only way I can take it seriously. Him in a relationship with Lana and what? Like why? Like I understand that we have to watch to find out why, but that kind of stuff, been there, done that. Bought the t-shirt. I don't need to see it again. We've seen it so many times. You know what I mean? Like,
I love that.
Is that not a term in America?
It is. It just was kind of funny because I'm thinking like, what did you buy? The Lana t-shirt? The Lana t-shirt?
I bought no Lana t-shirt. Lana's not really top of my list for t-shirt. I have a lot of wrestling shirt. I mean, I have a Brie mode shirt for crying out. Yeah, that ugly Brie mode shirt I have.
No. That's okay. Yeah, it just that I felt was a huge misstep. And, for me, I was so disappointed with them bringing back Rusev after all this time. And he looks ready to go. So, like, trimmed down. And
that dude is lean. That
lean
dude
and mean.
Like he looks good. And that mustache, damn, that's a good mustache.
Yeah, he looks like he's ready to run through the top of the division. And then you bring him back and put him in this terrible thing with Maria and Mike. And then you drop that and he's in it with Lana and Bobby. Bobby Lashley, like of all people, I can't.
And that doesn't even without this storyline, right? If they were just in a storyline, Bobby Lashley versus Rusev is not something that I'm even keen on, wrestling wise, even to watch.
Me neither. I don't want to see that. I'm not interested in that because I'm not interested in Bobby Lashley.
Give me Rusev versus like Rey Mysterio or Ricochet or Seth Rollins. I would watch Rusev and Seth Rollins in a title angle. I would watch that. You know what I mean? Like Lashley, but there's other people that Lashley would work better with. Lashley does work better with people that are a lot smaller than him.
Sure. He's similar to Brock in that way. They have a very difficult time working with people their size or larger. They have a better time with smaller guys. And I don't mean like shorter, smaller, but sometimes. But smaller as in not the same body mass. It just works better.
There's so many options because WWE is not the land of giants anymore. Giants are becoming a little more endangered, I guess you would, in the wrestling world. So, there's so many options for Lashley, and this whole thing is just, this is going to be the type of storyline that will fizzle very fast.
Right. It's just, that was the thing that made me go, come on.
I did the same.
Things were going so well,
And it was, and then we had the Fiend attack Seth, and that was like, okay, at least that happened. and whatever happens, before the Raw, I mean, the opening segment alone, I thought was fantastic with Dominic and Ray and Brock. And that's when I love Brock, to be completely honest. It's just when he tears through people and just destroys people. I'm like, oh. And Dominic, damn, he can take a beating. That kid can take a beating.
Yeah, hey, listen, he showed out last night for taking the bumps, but he took them very well, and it was engaging and fun. And it's when Brock does his Brock thing, and it's hard to.
Brock's at his best when he just beats the crap out of it.
Yeah, and that's what he's there for, and that at least we're getting back to some of that fun, if you will. But that was the way we kicked off this premiere week, right? And tonight I'm sitting here recording with you on Tuesday, and we're like, okay, great, SmackDown. Oh, no, just kidding.
I was literally doing that. So usually, I'll record on a Wednesday morning with someone or whatever, and then I usually run down to the shops, get my feel of things, come back and watch SmackDown. So I'm like, oh, God, going to be a busy little morning. And I'm like, oh, I could literally record for 5 hours and then go to the shop, because this is the non-wrestling day. My Wednesday is my non-wrestling day now. It feels so weird because I'm so used to that. It almost wrestling becomes like a religious schedule. Like you're like, yep, I watch this, I watch this. And you just go through the motions every week, and that's just what you do. It's so weird when your schedule gets, like I just feel like you feel naked almost. You're like, what's going on?
I know. Routine is such a real thing, guys. Once your routine is disrupted, you're like, I don't know what's happening, but that's okay, because we're just going to get used to a different routine, and how we're going to figure that out as the weeks progress, right? This is a week that we're going to tune into everything and just kind of see what's going on, and then we'll kind of ease into a rhythm as the weeks go forward. But I want to talk about WWE first. So WWE is moving to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. Raw, of course, staying where it is. NXT 2 hours on Wednesday, and then SmackDown takes over on Fridays on Fox now. So with NXT, we have some very interesting matches coming up this Wednesday, which is tomorrow my time, Thursday morning your time. I'm very confused. But yes.
It's Thursday morning for me.
Thursday morning for you. Yes, that's right. So we have Gargano versus Shane Thorne. We have Shayna versus Candice for the title. We have the Street Profits versus Undisputed Era for the tag titles, and Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle for the NXT title. Holy crap.
It's like a takeover.
It's like a mini takeover.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Limited commercial interruptions.
Yeah.
They're certainly, in a funny little term, they're bringing the fight, if you will, if we're going with that route.
Well, they're bringing something, that's for sure. And this card is very strong, and it's exciting. And they'll have, a couple other matches in there, but these are like your big players. So which of these matches are you kind of looking forward to the most on your Wednesday/Thursday morning?
I mean, Candice and Shayna is something that I've waited for a long time. I think Shayna is a perfect heel, and Candice is a perfect babyface. I just think it's just a clash of styles at those two. I'm just in my head, I can close my eyes and visualize some of the counters that will come from Candice and Shayna. And Shayna, listen, Shayna is a legitimate, badass. She could beat the crap out. I wouldn't like to get in a fight with that woman. She would choke me out. She would hit me. She would do something and I'd be gone. And Candice is so little. Like, she's such a little, she's just like, you look at Candice LeRae and I just think you are the sweetest girl that I just want to sit around and watch Disney movies with. Like, that's the vibe. You know what I mean? But that's the vibe. She just looks like this sweet, innocent girl that, be like, I don't want to hurt anyone, but like, she can get it done in the ring. Like, that girl is not talked about enough as probably one of the better wrestlers, regardless of gender, in the entire world. That girl is flawless in the ring. Flawless. I have nothing but I just admire that woman in the ring. I just think she's just one of the best. But that to me is very exciting. I'm excited. I you know how I am with Matt Riddle. I'm not a huge fan of Matt Riddle. But that match will be very good. Matt Riddle can get it done in the ring. Obviously, Adam Cole is fantastic. Street Profits and Undisputed Era. We've seen that before. We see how good it is. And I mean, I'm a sucker for the Street Profits, so that will be fun. We want the smoke.
That's
We want the smoke. They
right.
just,
Hey.
they bring a lot of energy to a room. Like you
Sure.
can't. It's hard not to smile. You know what I mean when you see the Street Profits, and then of course Johnny Gargano, Shane Thorne. I mean that'll be good. I think Shane Thorne is a very underrated person, regardless of where he's from in the world. I just think he's very, very good at what he does, and he slowly had little opportunities. Of course, he was part of a tag team, and then Nick Miller left, and then I feel like he's trying to find his feet, and he's got his feet wet a little bit, but I just think he's got a lot more to offer. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me on that, but the whole card is just Candice and Shayna is what I'm looking forward to personally the most, but I'll take anything on that card.
Yeah, right. I'm feeling the same way. And Candice versus Shayna for me is very exciting. I'm hoping for Candice to take that title personally. That's what I would like to see happen. I think Shayna has had a dominant, really, you can't, to make it a little funny, an undisputed reign. And, it might be time. I think it's time. We've been saying
It's a good
it's a
spot.
good spot. It's a good spot to do it. We're starting a new era on USA. Might be a good time to pull that trigger because I don't think the other two are changing because they just started the whole undisputed era having all of the gold. And I think it would be silly to pull that storyline so fast because it just happened. I think that needs to breathe a little bit and they need to be the dominant faction for the others to rise. Plus I want War Games versus them and Imperium. I'm just saying. It's just me personally. What do I know?
mean, I certainly wouldn't turn away from that.
Right? I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It does feel like a mini takeover. It's definitely a great card to put on the table to say, hey, this is what we're giving you on Wednesdays on USA. I think it's very strong. It's some of their top players, obviously. And we'll kind of see how it's going to play out. I personally will not be watching this live. I will watch it the next day to catch up on it. That's how I normally watch NXT anyway. So I don't really see the need at this time to change that. And we'll get to why a little bit later. But what I really want to talk about today with you, of all of these things happening Premiere Week, is really SmackDown. You know, you invited me so nicely onto Wrestling Reverb to chat about SmackDown 20th anniversary, our favorite moments, and looking back and the evolution of SmackDown. And here we are, Josh. Now it's going to happen. And this is crazy. We have
feels
some
like a lifetime we've been waiting.
It feels like it, right?
Excuse me.
It does. It feels like it's been a while. And I personally have been waiting for SmackDown to get shook up or shaken up for a long time. Get
woke.
Get woke. Get something. Get anything. So for me, this is the one that I'm interested in from WWE the most because it's on a different network. USA already has the other two. This is now not on USA. They're calling it SmackDown, not SmackDown Live. It's got a feel that's different already. The graphics are different. The way they're presenting it is different. And I'm ready to see what Fox is going to offer us and give us as a network hosting this show.
Me too. The promotion alone has been second to none. It's been really good. Like Fox have really been saying like, this is one of our premier shows. Like this is one of our top shows. They actually like, I don't know how it works. Maybe I'm just not seeing it in this country, but listen, I don't think that USA was promoting WWE like that. It wasn't like it was all over their network from what I understand. Fox have been everywhere I see. Like, you just look at the WWE on Fox Twitter account alone. They are very active. They respond to things. So. They post a lot of stuff. But they're on like, from my understanding, the NFL is a very big deal in the States. It's very much probably your biggest sport in the States. So to have WWE superstars and WWE talent on that program just for an interview or just here and there, that's a lot of eyes that is getting on whatever person is on that interview. It's a lot of eyes saying, Friday night, come and watch SmackDown live every single Friday night at 8 p.m. Like I don't think people are really understanding the magnitude of how big that is. Like, even from someone that's not from the States, I know that Fox is probably your biggest network or one of your biggest networks in the country. So I know that. And to be live on a Friday night is going to be difficult. I understand that Friday night television, wherever you are in the world, is very hard. But if you can gather an audience on a Friday night on a very big network, you're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, and I feel like, you and I talked about this a little bit on your show. I'm a little trepidatious and a little nervous about it being on a Friday. Like, I can't normally watch live. Like this Friday, I'm at a wedding. I won't be able to watch it live.
I
And it
can't
won't
watch
be
it live a lot either. So.
Yeah, so it's difficult in that way because of the timing. I am still nervous about that, but I will say I totally agree. Putting the superstars on the programming with sports commentators that are NFL, this is a big deal. Seeing the man pop up and they're talking about, oh, so-and-so is the man from football, so-and-so is the man, and then you see Becky Lynch going, guys, I'm right here, and it's just those little things. And then another thing that they have going for them too, and USA is doing the same thing, is putting the Fiend in, like random spots.
I seen that on Twitter. I was like, oh my God, that would scare people like that don't watch wrestling. They'll be like, what the hell is that?
Yes. Well, it does scare people because I'll tell you exclusively on the show right now, okay? My grandma texted me this morning telling me, Queen, now I've been watching the television and I saw this very scary individual in a mask, like that literally is verbatim. And I don't understand what's going on, but I saw that it was WWE, and she really calls it WWF because that's how she knows it. And and I don't understand why this is coming on regular programming. And I was like, all right, Grandma, I'll try to explain this to you as best I can. But like her father, my great grandfather, was super into wrestling. He was the one that got me into it. So she's familiar, but she doesn't understand why he's popping up in commercials. That's so smart. So
it's smart. Doing its job though. Then I guess it's getting people at least asking a question or going, oh, I know that's from WWE. Like,
crazy, right?
This is a really weird analogy, but I'm going to try my best to kind of explain it. But so SmackDown to me has been good for a while. Okay. It was great. And then it kind of got good and it's been whatever for the last, say, 6 months. It feels like, when you have like a cup of coffee, right? And you have it and it's just it's good. It tastes good. You're like, it needs something. So you add a little bit more sugar. You're like, oh, that's better. That's how I feel the transition from USA and Fox to Fox is going. SmackDown was like that cup of coffee that's not quite hot enough, that doesn't have the right amount of sugar. And then you add some hot water, you add some sugar, and that's what Fox is.
I like that.
It's a really weird analogy, I know, but that's what it feels like because the coffee was still okay. And it's you could drink it, but it wasn't what it could be. And that's what I think Fox is going to offer to Friday Night SmackDown going forward.
I certainly hope so. And I would like to be on the optimistic train with you. As JPQ said it last week when we were on Smart to Death with Anthony, he said, I'm going to give everything 2 weeks and kind of see how it shakes out, see how I feel about it. And that's what I'm going into this week being the same way. I will give it some time and kind of see how I feel about it before I pass a lot of judgment. Everything's going to be so different. So I really want to give it the time that it needs. And speaking of different, but not really that different, this card for SmackDown is also very interesting.
Stacked.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heavy hitters, literally. Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan. The 4 horsewomen with Charlotte and Becky on one side, and of course, Sasha and Bayley, the besties, on the other side.
Boston Hug Connection.
Boston Hug Connection, back at it again. Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon in a ladder match. And Kofi versus Brock for the title. Like, what?
Ape.
Crazy. Absolute craziness.
That's a pay-per-view quality card.
Definitely those would be matches I could see on a major pay-per-view. Absolutely right. Again, we're hitting the same thing. NXT feels like a little mini takeover. This feels like a really tiny WWE pay-per-view. They're trying to show out. And that I can respect, right? I want that. If you want to show me your A programming and what you have to offer, give me your best. So if this is then great.
Not only that, it's also the 20th anniversary show of SmackDown, so you're going to get The Rock. You're going to get There's a Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be on that show. I think Trish Stratus has been announced for that show. Lita, like the list goes on and on. So not only that, if the wrestling isn't enough for someone, you've also got cameo appearances from people that you used to watch 20 years ago on SmackDown. So it's really the best of both worlds.
It's given us a little bit of what we want, a little bit of nostalgia with a lot of the new stuff. And I think the nice little sprinkling of that, it makes a difference. You know, seeing The Rock come home in a lot of senses, because he's the one with the name creation, if you will, for SmackDown.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a big deal. So just to see him again, I think it's just going to give us.
I'm not going to complain when The Rock's on my screen.
Yeah, I won't
I'm not
complain
gonna
either.
complain.
I won't either.
I'm fine with The Rock. So, and he hasn't been on a WWE screen in, feels like a minute that he's been around. So,
I know.
it would be nice to see The Rock. I'm not going to complain when I see Stone Cold or Trish or Lita or whoever. So, you know, a nice little sprinkling. It's going to be a loaded show. It's going to be feels like trying to fit a lot in a small bag, you know, bit of a circle in a square in a circle kind of deal. But I mean, it's going to be action packed.
It is going to be action packed. And what I find funny about this whole thing is Monday, Wednesday, Friday have pretty stacked cards. And then you look at Sunday for Hell in a Cell, and you're like,
you go, ooh, I mean, it's good, but is it going to go for an hour?
I'm not really sure what's going on. And like, I know, right? We're not getting SmackDown tonight on a Tuesday. We're getting it on a Friday. So a lot of the matches, I'm sure, will appear throughout the week and then appear on Friday, because, you know, things could change given what may happen on Friday. We don't know.
Exactly.
So they can't put all the matches together. I think it's going to be harder for us to do prediction shows ahead of time, because we're going to need to be able to watch both things. But
it's not going to be a thing.
It's not going to be a thing like we're used to, but we shall overcome. However, let's talk about these 3 Hell in a Cell matches before we transition to the next segment of Holding Court today. And the first match that we have is Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan teaming up together versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, a returning Luke Harper.
I thought you were going to say returning first names.
Returning first names. Well, yeah, that's very true. Then we have, of course, the actual cell match for the ladies, and that's Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks, Hell in a Cell. And then we have the other Hell in a Cell match, which is Seth Rollins for the men, of course, versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So, strong 3 matches.
Yeah, not complaining about their matches, because they are all, you know, very, you know, had a lot of build. So it's not like they're bad matches. It's just, sorry.
No, it's true. And, you know, I'm thinking, if I had to posit a guess, I would think probably like the tag matches. I would think Revival New Day, maybe. I would think maybe Bayley Charlotte.
Bayley Charlotte.
I could see that getting added. I could see the Cruiserweight match.
Maybe Mustafa Ali.
Maybe Mustafa Ali and Shin. Yeah, that's a good thought. That's a good thought, because they had that match, right? I mean, there's things that can be added. We're just not entirely sure of what that's going to be, but that would be my guesses, I guess, of where what I would do. But of these 3, which one are you looking forward to the most? These are the 3 that are confirmed. So which one of the 3 are you really interested in?
I'm pretty sure you're going to know my answer, but Becky and Sasha has been something that they had easily the match of the night at Clash of Champions, and they've had a nice feud that's been very by the book, but that's not a bad thing. I just think it's been a very good babyface heel dynamic, and they're just kind of going with it. And Hell in a Cell match, there's history. Sasha's been in Hell in a Cell before. Becky is still the number 1 babyface in the company, in my opinion.
Sure.
I know she's kind of cooled down probably a little bit, but I think the entire WWE landscape has cooled down just a little bit. So I think she's just flowing with the company. But Sasha's very hot right now. She is kind of on a little bit of a roll with everything that she's doing, and I think this is the Sasha Banks that I've been missing. I mean, I kind of fell off the Sasha Banks bandwagon, if you will, in the last maybe year or so, just because she wasn't doing a hell of a lot. I wasn't really digging the babyface aspect of her. She's naturally a better heel, in my opinion. She's just got that attitude for a heel, and I just think that her and Becky click so well. I mean, they've had incredible matches in the past, like I stated, with Clash of Champions. Their matches back in NXT were just, mwah, I just love those matches. Just very, very, they just work very well together, and I think this Cell match is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to The Fiend, obviously, but a little part of me just wants The Fiend just to run through Seth.
Yeah, right? And I'm kind of hoping that that's exactly what happens. While I'm not into the whole back and forth switching of the title so often, I think it would be a mistake for him to lose.
Strike while the iron's hot. That's how I feel with this one. I just feel like The Fiend, there shouldn't be any shenanigans. There shouldn't be any Fiend loot. It's just strike while the iron's hot. Try something new. Let's just go with it. If a few months it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you can never know until you try. So
totally agree.
I think it's The Fiend's time. I think Sasha Banks is probably going to beat Becky Lynch, to be completely honest with you.
Do you think so?
The draft coming up and that, I think Becky's destined for Fox, and I think Sasha's a good hand to have on Raw. I think she's the lady that they can kind of build the division around on Raw, and I think Becky's the one on SmackDown. You split up the 4 horsewomen again, maybe Charlotte on Raw, Charlotte on SmackDown, just the vice versa of Bayley and Charlotte. I could really think that, I think it would be cool to see Charlotte and Sasha maybe, tango again for a little while, and Bayley and Becky really have never really had a big program.
I agree. Yeah,
I think
they've never really had it.
That. And usher in that, really stamping the fact that Bayley's a heel. And I think it'll just be fun just to kind of see that dynamic. So I think Becky is destined for Fox. I don't think there's really anything holding her from Fox at this point. That's just my opinion. But I think Banks here, just by association of the timing and the draft, I think Banks is probably going to beat Becky.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see both of these titles changes.
Yep,
I won't be mad about it either.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool. It would be nice to have different faces as we move into this new season, and we'll see kind of what else this week brings for WWE and what SmackDown has to offer, and then we can kind of look back and make our maybe new predictions and additional predictions as we move into the weekend. But it's going to be an exciting week for WWE. I am looking forward to it. I am hoping that things really go well. And I think when...
We're off to a good start for the most part.
Right, yeah, I think we're off to a good start. And I think that when the WWE wants to put their mind to it, they'll do a very good job. So I'm hoping that's what we get for the rest of the programs for this week. Now, on to the newbie. The new program, AEW Dynamite, Wednesdays on TNT. This is a big deal for a lot of reasons. 1, it's an alternative to WWE on a major network. 2, it's different talent from all over the world that some people have no idea who they are. 3, it's a brand new company that is starting a brand new wrestling weekly TV show. And while AEW has been in existence since January, and since they announced it, they've had a couple of pay-per-views, and they really started last year testing the waters at All In September. Yeah. This is a different ballgame. This is a whole new scenario for them. Going into weekly television, for me, I can tell you I'm very excited. This is a forefront of uncharted territory and new and fresh. And how are they going to translate on television? How is their creative going to look? How is the pacing of the show going to be? How are they going to build storylines? I know they're using a lot of social media as well to do that. Being the Elite as a supplement, the Road 2 series as a supplement. That I think is new and fresh and different, similar to how the network does, ride along and stuff. But this is like actual, like they're programming and getting to know their wrestlers that are on TV. Yeah. It's a little slightly different, but in the same vein. So I'm interested in that. But it's so brand new. And we have our champion, who formerly was in WWE, of course, Chris Jericho. He's the AEW champion, crowned
The
it all
GOAT.
out.
Greatest
He's the
of all
greatest
time.
of all time. Absolutely. I feel the same way. And we have Cody Rhodes, of course, another WWE guy, his brother, Dustin, and of course, the son of the late, great The Dream, Dusty Rhodes, WWE. So we're getting this brand new program with some faces that we know, including Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, as he was known in WWE. So that's a very interesting dynamic. And then you have other large names from New Japan, of course, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Ring of Honor, Adam Page. He was also in New Japan a little bit. And we have a lot of indie wrestlers, and we have a lot of the ladies from Japan, the Joshi wrestlers, as well as ladies from the indies in America and the UK. So it is a really different roster and a really different vibe. And I'm very curious as to how this is going to play out. So before we get into the card per se, I'd love to know your general thoughts about AEW and in general what you think we can expect on Wednesday. Tomorrow.
Okay, so I am going to say this the best way I can without coming across like I'm hating on AEW, because I don't want it to come across like that, because you know me, I love wrestling and I just want wrestling to succeed. And I honestly do love the product that AEW has been giving me. I'm a big, huge fan of it. But sometimes I just feel like sometimes they they talk a lot of something and they don't necessarily act on it. They say they're not focused on maybe NXT or WWE, but then they're the ones that are always constantly kind of bringing it up. And this isn't a hate. Again, you would agree with that? They do bring it up a lot, and I'm not sure why. Mm-hmm. I love the product that they've been giving. It's great action. I'm cautiously optimistic about it, because I don't necessarily know that I'm going to love the whole aspect of it being presented as, with like statistics and being presented more like a sport. That's not necessarily my kind of way I watch wrestling. I watch wrestling for, I'm a little bit more storyline, character-driven wrestling heavy, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's not saying that kind of way is wrong. It's just a little bit different for me. However, I'm excited the fact that it is different. The key word I am going to keep saying is different. It is different than what I'm currently watching. That's what I'm most excited about for Dynamite, and it being on can I ask you a question in the fact that is TNT a major network in the States?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's as big as Fox or CBS or NBC. I would put it on a similar plane to USA.
Okay, so it's certainly got the bullets to make an impact. Okay, so I'm excited that it's getting a fair chance. I'm excited that I'm hoping that it can live up to the hype. It is a lot of hype behind this, and wrestling fans are very fickle, and they're also easily disappointed, because wrestling fans work themselves. This is a thing on wrestling fans, is that they work themselves and expect something that maybe is, unattainable sometimes. And that's going to be a big factor coming into AEW, because they have lived up to a lot of expectations. I think Double or Nothing was incredible. But I don't think they've had a better show than Double or Nothing. All Out was really good. That was the closest to it. But I think Double or Nothing was their best show they've had. I know they've only had 4 shows, but weekly television and pay-per-views are very different.
I agree.
To constantly retain the audience attention on a week-to-week basis is very hard, and that's for a wrestling fan at heart. I love wrestling, and I just want to watch wrestling. But even me, even you, we can get tired of it. We can go, this isn't working for whatever company, not just AEW or WWE or Impact. There's ebbs and flows with wrestling, and it's hard to retain that kind of viewership on a constant basis. But all that being said, I'm super excited. I'm going to be dual watching both NXT and AEW this week, so that's going to be interesting, because I have the ability to watch AEW on Fight. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I have to pay like $5 a month or something like that to watch it, and I get a few like extra things. So the beauty of it is I can just watch it on my phone. or watch it on my laptop or my PlayStation, whatever I want to do. So I don't hate that. I would probably prefer it just to be on on like a cable network, just so it's a little
Sure.
bit easier to access. And it just comes with my cable that I already pay for. I don't have to pay any additional money, but $5 is nothing. I'm sure that it will probably eventually get onto a television network in Australia, but we're just not at the forefront of any wrestling companies, brain, which is it is what it is. But that being said, they have it on Fight, and AEW have been talking the fact that they want to be a global company. I'm glad that we are getting something. It come late. It's a very late announcement to do it. What they just did it this past weekend, say, hey, you can watch it. I was under the assumption that I wasn't going to be able to watch it in a legal manner.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of this needs to be taken into account the fact that they are new. And
yes, I agree.
Other cable companies outside of the United States may not be willing to just yet put it on their networks. And I think that over time, if they end up being successful, that may change. But for now, I think the Fight deal is a good deal. It's $1.25 per episode for 4 per month, and that's pretty darn good. And then the pay-per-views are a different thing. It reminds me a lot of old school WWE when you had to pay X amount of money for all the pay-per-views.
It's like $30 Australian dollars to get the pay-per-view here. I think it's about $7 Australian to get it a month. So that's just the exchange rate that I have to put up with anyway. So I know. I'll get over that. But I mean, it's certainly, I would rather have access to it than not. At least I get the choice. If after a month, I might not be feeling it, and I'm not going to pay for this. So that's the exciting part of AEW, is the fact that you don't know, I don't know. We may hate it, we may love it, we may feel indifferent on it. We don't know how we're going to feel on it. It's the unknown that I'm excited about.
Absolutely right. I love that. I feel the same way. It's a lot of unknown, and it's got me really excited. This is the thing that I feel like I've been waiting for in a lot of ways. I'm ready for something new and fresh and different, and I'm hoping that's what we get. This card looks like,
to me, is like, I was talking about the coffee. This is like if you're sick of coffee and you want to go to tea. That's to me is like, you're switching drinks, you're having a little, changing it up a little bit, and you're ready to drink something else. That, excuse me, sorry, I'm still kind of sick, everyone. It's just, I'm very ready to, try something new. You know what I mean? And it's exciting. Like, I'm saying that with a smile on my face because I'm genuinely excited. But there's just a few little things that I'm just like, oh, why? I understand they're new and there's growing pains, but just do you, and just make it awesome. That's what I want the most. It's just try and make the best wrestling show you can.
Right, and I'm hoping that this is exactly what we get, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a cool card. This card looks really stacked and strong. We have MJF versus Brandon Cutler. We have Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. We have Nyla Rose versus Riho for the first ever AEW Women's Championship. That's huge. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the Elite, versus Chris Jericho and two mystery partners that give some excitement, some unknown. And we have Hangman Page versus Pac. And if that match is anything like what they did in the UK, honey, look out. It's going to be crazy. And of course, Moxley is set to appear. And I would say I would be shocked if there weren't more surprises. Cody has mentioned several times that we've only seen 40% of the roster and that there's way more to be revealed. I'm hoping that we get a few of those individuals just to kind of pump it up a notch and give us some fun and excitement in addition to a brand new show. I think they need to. And I'm also, side note, very pleased that Pyro has returned to WWE, because that's something I love about AEW, though I wish they would chill on their timing sometimes. But I love Pyro, and it's cool too. That it's back, baby, and AEW does it actually very well when they get it right.
Yeah, I agree. They need to just chill out on the, it seems like someone's in the back just going pyro, 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 pyro. Yeah, now, and you're like, whoa, listen to the song and chime it with the song. But pyro is just exciting. If you have a dead crowd and you let off a firework or let off some pyro, you're not gonna get a dead crowd. At least in that moment, everyone pops for fireworks or pyro.
Absolutely. We do. So I'm really excited. These matches are great. I think the ladies are going to kind of steal the show this weekend, this week to weekend. I feel like, we have Shayna and Candice, and we're going to have the Four Horsewomen, and we're going to have Becky and Sasha and Estelle. And I think Nyla and Riho are going to be very strong. This could have the potential to be one of the matches of the night, not only because it's the first AEW Women's Championship crowning, and it sets the standard for the division. It has to be good.
If it's not good, that's a very bad train to start driving, in the fact that you have to have your first match be good to great. Otherwise, you're like, in a weird way, not that I wouldn't give it another chance, but you go, why would I want to watch this if that's the kind of matches we're getting from title matches? Like, what's the point of watching this if the quality is not there? But I don't think we're going to have a problem with quality with Riho and Nyla Rose. I have been so impressed with Nyla Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing her at Double or Nothing, I was like, okay, all right. She's just typical, powerful, dominant, muscular, that kind of deal. But then as time's progressed, and especially at All Out in that Casino Battle Royal, I was like, wow, she can do some stuff that I didn't realize that she could do. And because, listen, I'm not going to lie to anyone's face. I'm not one that watches. I know of people. I knew of her before AEW, but it's not like I'm watching a lot of independent wrestling. I watch what I, kind of grabs my attention. But it's not like I've seen her a lot before. A lot of these people I have personally not seen for AEW. So a lot of these people I'm just judging them based on what I've seen at these 4 shows. And Nyla's one of them that's grabbed my attention quite fast, as well as Riho, because she is just a tiny little ass kicker.
Yes, she is.
And she's such an underdog, she's such a pure baby face to me. It's just like, she's the type of character that I wouldn't mind seeing win with a roll up. You know what I mean? Like, there's those characters that you're just like, a victory roll and please just win and get out of there. I don't know. She's just, she makes me smile. She makes me happy. I do think you're right in the sense of the ladies have got a lot of opportunity to steal the week in many aspects from any of those matches that are on this week. So that's exciting, and I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for this AEW Women's title match. It's got a lot of combustible elements in it because obviously there's a size difference, there's speed versus strength, there's from my understanding, Riho's fairly young, is she not?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, but she's been wrestling for a
very
quite a
long time, since she was I want to say 12, maybe a little younger. She wrestled Minoru Suzuki, which is Murder Grandpa from New Japan.
Jesus.
Yeah, when she was young. So don't be fooled by the small thing. It looks like she's gonna break, but I'm not talking to you. I know you know, but everybody else who's watching this girl, don't be fooled, honey. This girl can go, and she's really special. And I feel like there's a lot of matches on this card I'm excited for. I'm excited to see Hangman Page and Pac. This was the match that we wanted but didn't get. We're promised but didn't get, and now we're getting it. That's cool. I'm excited to see Moxley. I know, obviously he's been out with the Mercer in his elbow, so I'm very excited to see him. But I'm also looking forward to the mystery partners for Jericho. I'm just excited for this show in general. But beyond the card, I think I'm just mostly excited for how this is going to be presented and just take it all in. I just want to watch it and see what they're going to do, because this is not WWE. This is not Ring of Honor. This is not Impact. This is not New Japan or Stardom. This is a totally different thing. And I would love to know how it's going to go. And they have to be different in order to stand out. And I think that they've already done a good job of doing that. They've made themselves stand out enough to make people go, okay, what is this going to actually look like? And that's what I am excited for in general when it comes to AEW. I'm excited for this new company. I'm excited for the new opportunities. I'm excited for the choice. I'm excited for the roster. I'm excited for the production. They make great production videos. That's another thing. I got to give credit where credit's due, as JPQ would say. WWE does great production and packages. So does AEW. Their stuff is really cool.
Which
their
is a
videos
good
that
thing.
they make, and their music is dope, and it's a very good thing, and I like that. And the set is cool. I'm interested to see how that's going to look and translate on television, and that is like the coolest thing. And tomorrow I'm going to be geeking out like a total mark, and I don't care
Oh, me too.
because I feel like I've been waiting for this forever. It's been so long since they announced.
I
And
know.
we kind
It
of
feels
knew it
again.
was
It feels
gonna
like a
go, but,
lifetime.
it does feel like a lifetime.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. And for me, watching these at the same time, I've always wanted to be that. I wish I was alive when WCW and Raw was going head to head, and now we have the opportunity to, for me to kind of get back into that zone of like, okay, I can watch both at once, and then some weeks I'll watch one, some weeks I'll watch the other, or like I like to break down wrestling. I'm very like I like to I hate overanalyzing, but I love analyzing wrestling. Like, I love the ins and outs of like, oh, this is on, why this is on, and oh my god, like this is head to head with this, and this is when this commercial is happening, why this is like, I love that. Like, so this is, I don't know, call me crazy, but I fire up my PlayStation and my computer, and I watch Nitro and Raw at the same time from when they were back in the day, so I can be like, oh, when was this and this? And like this is how the, because we talk about like the Monday Night Wars and all of that, and we know all the details, but we don't know exactly minute by minute what was going on, and that's fun to me to do. So for me, that's the kind of aspect that I look forward to the most with AEW and NXT being on at the same time. Like, it's just, I love that aspect of it. Not for competition's sake, just for my brain. I mean, we've watched wrestling for a long time, so sometimes it's hard to grab our attention just with standard wrestling sometimes. Like, I love it, but sometimes it is hard to feel fresh. And this is something that in wrestling that I've heard about, but I've never experienced. So I'm just really excited for it all. I'm going to be the same as you. I'm going to be like, my neck's going to be so sore from going, what's going on here? What's going on here? Like,
I know. It's going to be so much to take in and so much excitement. And in general, I'm just like, okay, like, let's do it. I'm
kid
ready
in a candy
go.
store.
I am a kid in a candy store. And I feel like we're kids in the wrestling store. And how lucky, I say it all the time. I'm going to keep saying it because it can't be said enough. What a time to be a fan. And I'm so glad that we are in 2019 with all of this amazingness to choose from. It's so special. And
like
it's
Christmas.
Awesome. It is like Christmas.
A week of Christmas almost. It's just like every day there's something. This is our rest day. This is just our like in between day. I mean, if people want to go and watch Total Divas, then go and watch Total Divas. But I can't watch Total Divas live. It doesn't air live here. I believe it airs on a Friday night here, which is weird. Friday night on E in Australia, which is weird. At like 11 o'clock. It's like, oh god.
That is weird.
Usually I'm like drunk or asleep. So
oh gosh. That's funny. Well, so much option, right? It's hard to hate it. It's hard to hate it because
if you hate it,
you don't like wrestling,
probably not
right?
the line of business. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably not the line of business for you to be watching. But it's exciting. It's just, I don't know, so much to take in. Like, we've still got so much more to watch. Like, we just watched Raw and we're like, okay, have a bit of a break. I like the schedule, by the way, too. There's a nice break between everything.
Sure.
AEW and I understand they're at the same time. They're on the same day. Like, there's a nice little gap where you can
catch
usually
up,
we go Raw and then we go SmackDown and then NXT and that's a lot to take in 24 hours. So sometimes it's nice just to go, let's just have a little bit of a rest. I can do what I want today and then move along to NXT and AEW tomorrow and then SmackDown and Hell in a Cell. And weeks are going to be busy when it's TakeOver or AEW pay-per-view weeks.
We'll have to figure that all out when we get there. That's for sure. There's a lot of variables. Yeah, a lot of variables. It's going to be very busy. But you know what? I'd rather be busy than bored, and I'd rather be busy than disappointed all the time. So let's see what happens. Let's see how this wrestling week goes. Let's see how the next couple of weeks as we dive into this new season, not only of all this wrestling, but the new season of Queen's Court happening here. Josh, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this episode. It is always dope to talk about Graps with you. It makes me so excited. We have so much fun. And I just want you to tell the people where they can find you, all that good information, so they can listen and enjoy like I do.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It is always fun to talk. We need to do this more often because we have too many. We have big gaps between our talks all the time, and I'm just like, where can I talk to Queen again? But now, I mean, we've kind of got it's weird. Last week you were kind of the end of that Reverb era of, I guess, Brainbuster and all of that kind of stuff. So, and to kind of start you off, it's just kind of feels natural. But you can find my show. I will state this in bold capital letters as I normally write on Twitter in capital letters. Fridays, Wrestling Reverb, you will find it every single Friday. You just have to go to my Twitter, Josh Robinson 00. You'll find my links. Wherever you need to find podcasts, you'll find Wrestling Reverb. You can find the Josh Robinson Show every single Tuesday. I invite you to come and watch the video cast, but it's available as audio only. All the places you would find podcasts. I do Twitch content. I do YouTube content. I'm always somewhere doing something. A lot of it's wrestling related, but you know me, Queen. I like to talk about other stuff. Just
Yeah.
I talk about whatever interests me, whatever I got on my brain, I'll kind of talk about. So, I like to consider myself a variety act that focuses on wrestling.
You are, and what a fun one you are, a variety act. You're right. I love that. That fits so perfect for you, Josh. And
Professional idiot, I like to call myself.
oh my God, you're funny. So silly. But thank you again, Josh. You've helped me kick off this new seasons of Queen's Court so beautifully. And my friends, go follow the man. Enjoy his content. It's a lot of fun. Josh is.
And can I just say, sorry to. I try. I'm not always positive, but I try. But can I just say, Queen, I'm gonna do this the best way I can, and I take pride in the fact that I can put people over because, we've had our week with stuff, and we're ready to kind of just go forth and go on. We've said our piece, but Queen, the fact that after everything that's happened this week, the fact that you're sticking on and keeping on and just, a little slight redirection of where we can find your stuff is a testament to this lady's character this week, because she's done a lot to just keep on keeping on and moving forward. And, when, excuse my French, but when shit hits the fan, sometimes people can just go, I don't want this. I don't want to do this. It's too hard for me to do. And you just have done the opposite and kept keeping on. And that's just really cool because, I did have a feed before this. I did have a show before all of this stuff happened. You didn't necessarily have that, but the fact that you just want to keep going, I'm all good. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing is pretty cool. So the fact that people listen, and you were always kind of the one, I feel, that was kind of our world champ out of the group. So
jeez.
I do genuinely think that. I'm not just blowing smoke because I'm talking to you. I'm on your show. I genuinely do think that you just have owned the fact that you are very good at this. And I do think that you just deserve everything that you get, and a lot of the praise that you get is very much warranted. So please, everyone, continue to listen to Queen every single Wednesday, Queen's Court, and all of the other stuff that she does. And she's a great Twitter follow too, because she has a lot of interactive tweets, which is something I don't do because sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to.
Well, in the words of our beloved Mags, I'm going to go have an ugly cry. And thank you. Thank you for that, Joshy. And my darlings, we will catch you on the next one.